Hello, Americans. A breaching method uses confessions to measure and maintain collusions with itself, self value, originally and still. Otherwise, that body is sensed, including if that body is a majority of people, including if that body is everyone, and that is adapted to. There is another name that comes with A through Z, and then the company's on the records. In other words, it has been keeping other things others themselves blamed for literally this is there is hyper evidential why and how we have black peoples with whites of eyes. They leave it out of such serious subjects like the Civil War, just like they leave out James Madison's plan with that, and why and how both the South and the North were entrenched with slavery per the internationally monitored conversations. You guys lie about to yourselves and others, but also with delusions. Psychiatry has been roles right through world wars with all kinds of databases roles since before computers with the databases run criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. Use/S of them. How are you? I think you've been. Uh, I don't have a professional boxing license, but I used to box. I like boxing, but I want to get a professional boxing license. In other words, I have a bunch of experience. But I was in the World Trade Center attack next to it, right before it. I wasn't in with the right when the planes hit. I was already came back to Connecticut. I was coming back to Connecticut when it happened, apparently. So I came in and arrived at Connecticut, and I saw the pictures of the planes on the towers, which must have happened right after we left New York City. We were in the Ninth Circuit Court next to the World Trade Center towers, and the night before. And so, for example, it's relative because WFSB, WTNH, and Fox Connecticut News have people that stole my identity, and they're increasingly involved with people at each campus I went to who will tell you themselves they're influenced to speak fake things and just totally fake conversations and ties to me were faked for them by people involved with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. A whole bunch of ways state police forms have roles with the schools and security. See, they have the value of their titles like judges, prosecutors, mayors. They're still criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, collusion/S. In other words, and people discern that collusion part, and so we forgive them since we are kids. In other words, where and how to it's in the news when they make subject treatments so serious, and they leave out what can be used to answer questions, true all ways. No, in other words, and when there are things that appear not to be true, like true all ways, anyone denies that having black people as whites of eyes and that having had that left out with the breaching method simultaneously too, we could discern roles with it. That's hyper evidential right there because it's also replacing what nature shows us what that was about and what our founders did. Our founders behind James Madison, his plan, we were supposed to refer to our founders, plural, as James Madison, too. So they wouldn't change it like they have it kept changed in self-value rules and pretend in other words. So WFSB attached me to fake conversations with themselves. They have roles personally and professionally with intelligence next to them, also at campuses through time. They have under the guise of being there for with little kids for the weather, etc. See, his preaching method showed them they needed to pretend that they could speak for reason and education properly. All kinds of medical corruption with the kids, and interbranch and in the intelligence tied to them. They use their sexual, medical, and cultural differences as time collusions with KKK theme, black theme, Confederate flag theme, and then they pretend it's prejudice. In other words, all kind of people, all kind of the interbranch, they get people to call them names and they lie about what they think about it. They hide that. All kinds of entrapment of each age of fact treatment nature. All kinds of sick, tactically delusions, raw subject treatments. You guys don't follow mandated law. You put me right to the top of the algorithm, too. Get that former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, onto paper with the Connecticut interbranch. Please, Judge Napolitano, all sides of the Weathersfield Community Center and the Community Center have people that recorded confess. They're going to pretend that, but it's recorded that way. They know that they committed. Okay, in other words, they knew they were lying to me, and I knew they were lying to an extent. In other words, about why and how they had me go to a Napolitano's house. I don't near the community center, as involved with a Ray Cololo and a Joe DeMoro, increasingly with their educators. That with people on all sides of my house planted evidences with them from other areas and at campuses. Each campus I went to has rules with predicate acts with those facts, with those in those databases, and people involved with them. Increasingly, there are people named Leahy and Lombardo that paid conversations with me. Lombardo, no, I had like 2 words with the lady. She put me in fake yelling, and she did that. There was a guy that was yelling involved with a whole bunch of people tied to the Wethersfield Community Center. Also with the Domain family next to Fox Connecticut News. The people next to the news locations, including WTNH in New Haven, Connecticut, is the FBI. Involved with a whole bunch of people involved with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and co-defendants of his and their family members. Involved with predicate acts at each of the campuses I went to. Time usage, collusion between that, and use/test of it. So please take me off the fake conversations with WFSB about the World Trade Center, offensively preventing me from making a police report about that. And the police, in other words, they faked me. They faked that I went down to the police station and had a conversation with them when I was a kid. And they did it as an adult, sickly distinctly, but also sickly non-distinctly, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions wrought, and with some of the same people involved. Now as adults, when they were kids, I never even had classes with them. They're involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, little tricks that are manifest where they're building upon predicate acts with facts stuck into databases. Further, with a principal upskirt nature. I caught him with recorded more. First, they forced it. A principal, what's his name? The chief, police chief Cintron, and 1 or more years ago is involved with the 80 Carriage Hill Drive with their families and intimate ties to their families, involved with some more sexual and medical offenders of kids, and families that work with the police phones, with the police phones, the 911 phones. No, as ones involved with their cousins, with people that with their cousins tied to those police with predicate acts that are also involved with the spots next to the Trade Center, at the World Trade Center, in the court next to it, as collusion / yes, intercities and intra-cities and interstates. The same ones are involved with Washington, D.C. a bunch of ways before that. 2 speech class teachers I have are increasingly involved with people involved with predicate acts with little kids and people tied to a Dillon family, as one of the ones with the as one of the police forms involved also with real estate agencies and fire departments and overt criminal enterprises and private ones and relative delusions. So in other words, the agencies too, they have roles with a Joshua Stryker and a Joshua Julian and people with New Britain Superior Court with the name KNERR and a whole bunch of people with the name KERR. Also with an officer, Jerry Miller, planting evidence on all sides of my house. Also with an officer, also with an Inspector Mike with the fire department, refusing to identify themselves. See, the fire department has roles with the intelligence community, with the hospital still, with foreign and domestic military in ways they shouldn't have leaked. They leak things when they cover up things. The way the breaching method, I know they would leak. But that's manifest too, because the breaching method, how it measures, maintains. Then stupid counts in suits and ties, counters, exceptions across the globe. Otherwise, that body is sentenced. We don't have free speech here. The Constitution is abridged. Follow mandated law for them, please. Let me show you how to think, people.